Ladies and gentlemen, there is a deep and mighty power that lives within you, waiting, yes, waiting, for you to awaken it with one bold, faith-filled declaration, "Of course I can." That simple phrase, when believed with all your heart, can lift you over mountains of fear, can break the chains of doubt, and can light the darkest path. Too many people walk through life defeated before they even begin, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they've been convinced they're not enough. Let me tell you today, you are more than enough. You have within you the divine imprint of greatness. You were not made for failure, for fear, or for settling for less. You were created to rise, to believe, to act, to conquer, and it all begins the moment you look at the challenge ahead and say with faith, "Of course I can." What you believe about yourself is one of the most powerful forces in your life. It shapes your attitude, it directs your actions, and it ultimately determines your destiny. If you believe you are limited, then you will act in ways that confirm that belief. You will hold back, hesitate, and shrink away from the very opportunities that were meant to lift you higher. But if you believe deep down that you are capable, worthy, and strong, then something incredible begins to happen. Your thoughts align with your goals, your heart fills with courage, and your actions become bolder, more determined, more alive. It all begins with one powerful choice to believe in yourself, not just casually, but with deep, unwavering conviction. To speak words of faith when fear whispers. To say with confidence, "Of course I can." Even when your knees are shaking and the path ahead is uncertain. This is not arrogance. This is not false pride. It is a humble, holy confidence that comes from understanding who you are and whose you are. You were created in the image of God, not to walk in defeat, but to live with power, love, and a sound mind. Negative thoughts will come, there is no denying that. Doubt will knock on the door, trying to convince you that you are not smart enough, strong enough, or lucky enough. But you don't have to open that door. You can meet doubt with declaration. You can answer fear with faith. Every time a thought tries to tell you you can't, rise up and declare, "Of course I can," because belief is a seed. When you plant it in your mind and water it with daily affirmation, prayer, and gratitude, it grows into a tree of success, bearing the fruits of joy, purpose, and achievement. The people who do great things in this world are not necessarily the most talented or the most educated. They are the ones who simply believe they can. They look at the impossible and say, "Why not me?" They face setbacks and say, "I'll try again." They take a step when others are standing still. That kind of belief doesn't come from empty motivation. It comes from a deep well of positive thinking and spiritual strength. It comes from knowing that even if you fall, you are not falling alone. God is with you, and He will lift you back up. So today, challenge the belief that has been holding you back. Break free from the old story that says you're too late, too flawed, or too weak. Replace it with a new story, one rooted in truth, filled with faith, and spoken with power. Say it right now. "Of course I can." Say it when you wake up. Say it when you're tired. Say it when the mountain looks too high. Let those words become your rhythm, your anchor, your fire, because the truth is this: when you truly believe in yourself, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a quiet authority, not because life is easy, but because you know the power that is working within you. And that power, when partnered with belief, can move mountains, open doors, and transform your life in ways you never imagined. So never underestimate the power of what you think. Think big, believe boldly, and always say with conviction, "Of course I can." You are not here by accident. You are not just a collection of random experiences or a product of chance. There is something far greater at work in your life, a divine purpose, a sacred potential, planted deep within you by the Creator Himself. You are not ordinary. No matter what anyone has said, no matter what failures you've experienced, no matter how overlooked or underestimated you may feel, the truth remains unshakable. You are divinely equipped. God didn't create you to merely exist, to struggle, to drift. He created you to shine, to rise, to reflect His power and goodness in the world. Inside you is a spark of greatness. It may be buried beneath years of fear or silence or shame, but it is there. It may feel small compared to your challenges, but it is there. That spark is the fingerprint of God on your life, the reminder that you are made in His image. That means creativity lives in you. Strength lives in you. Hope, wisdom, perseverance, all of it is within reach because God placed it there. He didn't make you weak and lost. He made you with vision and possibility. The same breath that spoke galaxies into existence breathes life into your dreams and gives meaning to your journey. Sometimes life tries to convince you otherwise. The weight of disappointment, the echo of rejection, the fear of not measuring up. It all tries to dim that light inside you. But even when you feel like you've lost your way, God is still at work. He's still whispering to your spirit, still opening doors, still drawing you back to the truth. You have what it takes not because of your own strength alone, but because the Almighty moves through your mind, your heart, your hands. When you think you're not enough, remember who your source is. When you feel small in front of a big challenge, remember that greatness doesn't come from size. It comes from spirit. You were created for a purpose. You were designed with divine intention. Your ideas, your compassion, your resilience, your gifts, they are not accidental. God doesn't waste anything. Every struggle you've faced, every tear you've cried, every time you got back up when life knocked you down, it's all part of your refining, your shaping, your preparation. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust that something holy is unfolding. And the more you lean into that truth, the more your confidence will grow. Not a shallow confidence rooted in ego, but a sacred confidence rooted in the one who made you. So lift your head. Silence the voice of self-doubt. There is no limit to what God can do through you when you believe in the power He's placed within you. You're not walking alone. You're not building your future on your own strength. You are being guided, empowered, equipped every step of the way. Every time you choose faith over fear, every time you act with courage even in uncertainty, every time you speak life over your circumstances, you awaken that divine potential a little more. And day by day, moment by moment, you become who you were always meant to be, living expression of God's greatness at work in the world. There is a quiet enemy that lives in the minds of so many people, an enemy more dangerous than failure itself. It whispers at the most vulnerable times, it speaks with authority, pretending to be the truth, and it says, "You can't, you're not good enough, you'll never make it." That voice, that inner critic, is not the voice of God. It is the voice of fear disguised as logic, of doubt disguised as protection. It sneaks into your thoughts when you face something new, when you step outside your comfort zone, or when you begin to dream bigger than before. And too often we believe it. We nod our heads. We agree with defeat. But the time has come to rise up and say, enough is enough. That voice is a lie. That voice is not the truth about who you are or what you're capable of. It's time to silence the voice of limitation and replace it with words of life, of power, of truth. You have been speaking, "I can't," for far too long, and it has become a habit. But just as a habit can be formed, it can also be broken. Every time you say, "I can't," you are locking a door that God wants to open. You are tying your own hands when heaven is ready to move on your behalf. So begin to change the way you speak to yourself. Let your words reflect the power and possibility that live inside of you. Instead of saying, "I can't," say, "With God's help, I can." Say it until your mind believes it. Say it until your spirit responds. Say it until your actions begin to move in the direction of your words. This is not about empty affirmations. This is about spiritual truth. You are not alone. The same God who parted seas, who raised the dead, who calmed storms, is the same God who lives within you and stands beside you. He has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So when fear tells you you can't do it, faith replies, "God says I can." When failure says you're not enough, faith says His grace is sufficient for me. Every negative thought can be overturned by a declaration of faith. Every fearful whisper can be drowned out by words of divine strength. Speak to yourself like someone who is filled with God's Spirit. Encourage your own heart. Remind yourself of who you are and what you carry. You are not weak. You are not broken beyond repair, and you are certainly not hopeless. You are a child of the Most High God, and there is power in your voice, especially when it aligns with His promises. Begin to speak those promises over your life. When you rise in the morning, say, "I am capable, I am chosen, I am loved, I am not afraid, I can do this." These words are not just for motivation. They are for transformation. They shape your thoughts, your mood, your decisions, your entire life. What you continually tell yourself, you will eventually believe, and what you believe, you will become. So feed your mind with words that lift you, not words that limit you. Fill your thoughts with light, and the darkness will flee. The more you speak life, the more life you will experience. Stop agreeing with fear. Stop giving voice to the lies of the past. Start declaring who you really are. Speak with faith, with fire, and with certainty. Say it out loud with confidence and clarity. With God's help, I can. Because once your words change, your life begins to change too. There is a strength that lies far beyond our own. It is not found in physical ability or natural talent. It is not based on education or appearance or background. It is a power that comes from a connection with the divine, a power unlocked through the beautiful, sacred act of prayer. Prayer is not a ritual or a routine. It is a conversation with the source of all strength, a lifeline to the one who knows you better than you know yourself. It is in prayer that confidence is born, because it reminds you that you do not walk this path alone. It is where fear is softened, where confusion gives way to clarity, and where weakness is met with divine energy. When you begin your day with prayer, something shifts in your spirit. You stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You release your anxieties, your uncertainties, your doubts, and you place them into the hands of the Almighty. And in return, He gives you peace. He gives you wisdom. He gives you strength for the moment and courage for the journey. You are not asking for an escape from difficulty. You are asking for the strength to go through it with grace, power, and purpose. That is what prayerful confidence does. It doesn't remove the mountain, but it gives you the spirit of a climber. There is no dream too large and no challenge too great when it has been saturated in prayer. When you take your plans and lay them before God, they take on a higher meaning. Your goals are no longer just about success or recognition. They become acts of obedience, extensions of your faith, reflections of God's hand on your life. And once you know He is involved, you move differently. You speak differently. You begin to act not out of fear of failure, but out of assurance that heaven is working with you. You move with a quiet boldness because you are no longer leaning on your own understanding, but on the wisdom and will of the one who sees all, knows all, and cares deeply for you. Many people walk through life without ever inviting God into their plans. They push, strive, and struggle using their own limited power, only to burn out, give up, or fall short. But those who take time to pray, to ask for guidance, to listen in silence, those people begin to see with spiritual eyes. They see opportunities that others miss. They sense direction when others are lost. They walk in peace while the world around them is filled with panic. Why? Because they know that the outcome doesn't rest on them alone. God is their partner. God is their strength. God is the unseen force leading them step by step. So do not rush ahead blindly. Do not rely solely on your intellect or your hustle. Pause, breathe, pray. Surrender your vision, your goals, your very next step into the hands of God, and then watch what happens. Doors begin to open. Fear begins to lose its grip. Doubt begins to fade. This is not coincidence. It is divine alignment. It is what happens when you align your life with the Creator of life itself. Let prayer be your first response, not your last resort. Let it shape your confidence and ignite your courage. You are never alone in your effort. Heaven hears you. God walks with you. And when you pray, you're not just hoping things will work. You are partnering with the very power that created the universe. With that kind of strength beside you, how can you not walk forward with boldness and faith? Speak to God, trust in Him, and let your confidence rise, knowing that every step you take is supported by the one who never fails. It is not enough to believe in yourself quietly. Belief, to be truly powerful, must be expressed through action. You can dream all day. You can visualize success. You can fill your mind with positive thoughts. But if you don't move, nothing changes. Belief is the spark, but action is the fire. You must be willing to step out, even when you don't have all the answers, even when the outcome is unclear. That first step, however small, is a declaration of faith. It says, I believe this is possible, and I'm willing to prove it by what I do. It's in the doing that strength is developed. It's in the motion that momentum is born. You don't have to have perfect confidence to begin. You just need enough courage to take one small step forward. The truth is, confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence grows through action. It's something you build, not something you wait to feel. When you try, when you stretch yourself, when you face fear instead of running from it, you begin to discover that you are more capable than you ever imagined. Each time you act in spite of your doubts, your confidence gets stronger. Each time you push forward when you want to retreat, you become braver. Belief fuels the engine, but movement is what keeps it running. It's easy to wait until the timing is right, until you feel more prepared, more equipped, more experienced. But perfection is a trap. If you wait until everything is just right, you'll never begin. You learn by doing. You grow by trying. It's not about doing everything flawlessly. It's about having the faith to start with what you have, right where you are. Progress is more powerful than perfection because progress means you're moving. It means you're living with intention and purpose. Even if you fall, even if you fail, you're further ahead than you were yesterday. Every stumble is a lesson. Every setback is a setup for growth. There is no shame in trying and failing. There is only growth and learning and strength being built in the process. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for certainty. If you feel the fire in your heart, if you know deep down that you were made for more, then begin. Start small if you must, but start. Start before you're ready. Start while you're still unsure. The act of beginning is one of the most powerful affirmations of belief. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells yourself, I am capable, I am willing, I am moving forward. And once you begin, don't stop. Keep going, keep showing up, keep building step by step, brick by brick, moment by moment. You don't have to leap a mountain in one day. You only need to take the next step, and then the next. What matters is not how fast you go, but that you don't stop. Keep your focus on the progress, not on perfection. Celebrate the small victories. Acknowledge the growth. Let each day be a new opportunity to live out your belief through action. Let your life become proof that belief, when put into motion, leads to transformation. You will never know how strong you are until you test your strength. You will never know how far you can go until you take that first step. So whatever it is that you've been hesitating to do, begin it. Trust in your belief enough to act on it. Turn your hopes into habits. Turn your dreams into decisions. Because when belief fuels action, and action becomes a daily practice, the impossible begins to bend. Doors begin to open. Life begins to change, not because you waited for perfection, but because you moved forward in faith. Sometimes the greatest proof of what's possible is not found in celebrities or famous names, but in the lives of ordinary people. People who had every reason to quit, to doubt, to shrink back, and yet chose to believe in themselves. They are not superheroes. They are not born into privilege or handed easy lives. They are people like you and me who faced hardship, disappointment, or overwhelming odds, but instead of folding, they made a decision to rise. And that decision was often rooted in a simple yet powerful thought, of course I can. There's the story of a woman who lost her job with no backup plan, no safety net, and no one telling her what to do next. She had 2 children to raise, bills piling up and fear pressing in from all sides, but in the quiet of her soul she chose to believe there was more ahead. She took a skill she barely acknowledged before, baking, and started selling homemade goods from her kitchen. It began with 1 customer, then 2, then word of mouth. Today, she runs a successful bakery with employees of her own. She didn't wait for someone else to tell her it was possible. She told herself, of course I can, and then proved it true through determination and faith. There's the story of a young man who struggled through school, constantly told he wasn't smart enough or focused enough. He could have let those labels define him. Many people did. But something inside him said, no, I am more than what they say I am. He began studying on his own, asking for help, staying after class, and slowly his grades began to climb. Not overnight, but steadily. Years later, that same young man became a teacher, helping students who felt forgotten, students just like he once was. He reminds them daily, it doesn't matter what others say. What matters is what you believe. If you believe you can, then you can. That belief changed his life, and now it's changing the lives of others. And then there's the story of an elderly man, well into his 70s, who always dreamed of writing a book. For decades he told himself it was too late, that he'd missed his chance. But one day he picked up a pen, opened a blank notebook, and began to write. He didn't worry about the critics or the market. He simply wrote what was in his heart. That book was eventually published, and to his surprise, it touched thousands of readers around the world. His story reminds us that it's never too late. The dream still inside you is still possible. You're not too old, too young, too broken, or too far gone. All it takes is a spark of belief and the courage to begin. These stories are not rare. They are everywhere if we choose to see them. Success is not reserved for the elite, the gifted, or the lucky. It is available to anyone who dares to believe. Ordinary people become extraordinary when they say, "Of course I can," and then back it up with action, persistence, and faith. That same power lives in you. You have the same capacity to rise, to overcome, to create something beautiful out of your circumstances. So when you hear those familiar voices of doubt creeping in, remember these stories. Let them remind you that greatness doesn't require perfection, only belief. Tell yourself what they once told themselves. Say it with hope. Say it with strength. Say it as a declaration to the world, "Of course I can." And then take the first step toward proving it. There is a truth that rises above the shifting emotions of life, a truth that does not bend to fear, discouragement, or doubt. It is a truth anchored in the unchanging Word of God. When everything else feels uncertain, when your confidence feels shaky, and your strength feels spent, there is one place where your spirit can find rest, hope, and power: Scripture. And one verse, simple yet life-changing, stands tall among them. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Those are not just comforting words. They are a declaration of power, a divine promise, a spiritual contract written by the hand of God Himself for anyone who dares to believe. This verse is not a motivational quote. It is a living truth. It does not depend on how strong you feel or how perfect your circumstances are. It does not rely on your track record, your past, or your failure. It is not a message of self-help. It is a message of divine help. It means that even when you feel weak, even when your abilities feel limited, you have access to a strength beyond your own. You don't have to manufacture the power to move forward. You receive it. You draw it in through faith, through prayer, through trust in the one who never fails. Christ is not a distant idea or a religious symbol. He is the very present strength that rises within you when you feel like giving up. He is the quiet courage that pushes you forward when everything around you says stop. He is the peace in the middle of chaos, the light in the middle of confusion, and the power in the middle of your weakness. When you anchor your belief in Him, you are no longer swayed by the highs and lows of your emotions. You are no longer dependent on circumstances to feel strong or confident. Your source is steady, eternal, and all-sufficient. Every time you declare this verse, you are reminding your soul who is in charge. Not fear, not the voices of doubt, not your past mistakes or current struggles. Christ is your strength, and His strength has no limit. You may feel tired, but He is not. You may feel afraid, but He is not. You may feel stuck, but He never is. His power does not waver, and it does not run dry. And because you are connected to him, because you are walking in his grace, you can face every challenge, climb every mountain, and pursue every God-given dream with the assurance that you are never alone. When negative thoughts come, and they will, you have a weapon. You don't have to accept the lie that says you can't, that you're not enough, that you'll never make it. Instead, you speak truth. You declare, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You use that verse as a shield and a sword. You let it be your foundation and your fuel. You repeat it until your heart believes it, until your feet move with confidence, until your spirit rises above the noise. This truth must become more than something you read. It must become something you live. Let it guide your decisions, calm your fears, and empower your steps. Let it be the answer you give when challenges come knocking. When doubt whispers, respond with faith. When weakness appears, lean harder into his strength. Christ is not just with you. He is within you, and his strength is already yours. So say it with faith. Say it with boldness. Say it when you feel strong, and especially when you feel weak. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let that be your daily anchor, your constant reminder, and your eternal truth. Say it loud. Say it with conviction. Say it when the world tries to tell you to sit down, to stay small, to give up. Say it when your heart is heavy and your strength feels gone. Say it when you stand at the edge of a new beginning and fear tries to pull you back. Say it as a declaration of your faith, your resilience, your God-given power. Of course I can. Those 4 words are not just a phrase. They are a banner, a shield, a battle cry. They are a refusal to live in the shadow of doubt, and a commitment to walk in the light of faith. They are the sound of your soul rising up and remembering who you are. There will always be voices, both around you and within you, that try to convince you otherwise. Voices that say you're not smart enough, strong enough, young enough, old enough, connected enough. Voices that echo with the failures of the past or the fears of the future. But you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to live by their script. You get to choose what voice leads your life. And when you choose to believe in your possibility, when you choose to believe in the power that God placed inside of you, those other voices lose their grip. They no longer define your identity or direct your future. Every morning is a fresh opportunity to speak truth over your life. Before the noise of the day begins, before the demands and distractions pile up, take a moment to plant your feet, lift your head, and declare it again. Of course I can. Say it when you look in the mirror. Say it when you start the task that seems too big. Say it when the goal looks far away and the path feels uncertain. You are not speaking wishful thinking. You are declaring spiritual authority. You are aligning your heart with heaven's design for your life. You are stepping into the mindset of victory and breakthrough, not defeat and survival. This is not about arrogance. It's about knowing who walks with you. It's about trusting the one who created you, who called you, who equips you. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to believe, the kind of belief that moves mountains. The kind of belief that doesn't quit. The kind of belief that says, I may not know how this will unfold, but I know I will not give up. I know I will give my best. I know I will rise every time I fall. And when you speak that belief with boldness, your spirit hears it. Your courage grows, your faith deepens, and your next steps become stronger. Let this be your answer to every obstacle. Let it be your response to every inner critic. Let it be the last word when doubt has said too much. Let, of course, I can become more than just a phrase. Let it become the rhythm of your life. Let it guide your choices, empower your decisions, and lift you when the journey feels long. Because this world doesn't need more people living in fear. It needs more people who believe, who try, who rise, who speak life even when the odds are against them. No matter how many times you've failed, no matter how far you've fallen, it is never too late to begin again. You are not finished, you are not forgotten. There is still breath in your lungs and purpose in your path. So say it again. Say it louder than your fears. Say it louder than your doubts. Say it so often that it becomes the truth you live by. Of course I can. And then go out and show the world what someone who truly believes can do. Stand tall, speak faith, act boldly. Because with God beside you and belief within you, there is no limit to what you can do. Of course you can. Now go out and prove it.